Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to just talk about what my favorite accessories are, or supplemental lifts for the squat, bench, and deadlift are, because this is a question I get asked a lot, and just to get right to it, my favorite accessory or supplemental exercise to the squat, bench, and deadlift is any form of pause. So on a deadlift or a squat, obviously just pausing it, and then like for a bench press, like a 2 or 3 count pause. And the biggest reason why I like this is because this tends to affect how lifters set up for the lifts and helps them kind of feel out their body positions a little bit more, because usually people will rush during the lift when they need to be in the most control. For a squat, it's going to be in the hole. For a deadlift, that's going to be just right off the floor. And for a bench press, that's going to be like right around that chest, really close to it on the last, third of the descent. And we want to be able to create essentially as much bracing, control, and stability of that position as we possibly can. And when people do rush that, it just it results in them losing position, misgrooving, etc. And I found that lots of times having these pauses programmed into the lifts, into their training, this creates more awareness of where their body is in space. It helps them understand, how to, for example, on the deadlift, how to slowly ramp tension off of the floor instead of just jerking the bar off of the floor. How to keep their shoulders over the bar. On squats, how to keep weight on their midfoot. How to push their upper back into the barbell to create a cervical spine extension, and having a little bit less of those hips stretch back. On bench press, maintaining that really good position on the eccentric of the bench press, and then having a little bit of a better touch point, as well as having more control and typically a little bit better of a bar path off of the chest as well. For lots of my beginner lifters, in fact, I don't really like them using touch and go bench press, because I find it creates just really inconsistent rep quality. So that's something that's just really important. I have an article pulled up by Steve DeNovi right here, who's a really good powerlifting coach. But he says that, and I agree with this fully. He says, this all comes back to what a knowledge of an incoming pause subconsciously does to the intention of your setup. If you know that as soon as the bar breaks the floor that you have to stop, you'll naturally be in less of a rush to set up. Like clockwork, I see noticeable setup improvements when lifters perform pause deadlifts over the regular deadlift. On a conventional deadlift, you can get away with a rock and roll style trick as opposed to deadlift, but still you have to be very intentional. And I agree with that. I still do think that you still need to be in the right positions off of conventional, but because it's a little bit less technical and a little bit less, as a result, a little less sensitive to technique breakdown in terms of maximal form output, it just tends to lead to more intentionality and just a way better training effect. And the real big key with this is don't rush your pauses. Like the biggest thing that I will see, and I'm guilty of this too, is turning a pause into a kind of pause. You kind of sort of slow it down, but not really enough. And that, it's important to be able to get the training effect that we actually want. You're trying to reinforce good positions. You're trying to have you actually create that training effect, get in better positions, choosing weights that you can actually handle, because you want to be in control of the weights, even 100% of your reps. You want to be in control of that weight. You don't want to have it be in control over you. And pauses and being in those good positions is what's going to make you the best lifter that you possibly can be. And I've just also found that people tend to rely too much on the stretch reflex or that rebound of the whole. While that is, these muscles have elasticity as a result of their muscle spindles. It's just important to have consistent, repeatable technique, and relying too much on the bounce can result in misgrooves, like I said, and because just you getting out of position, it can really tank your strength by like 10% if it's not right. And strength is so skill oriented. I find that usually for a lot of my lifters, I will keep in pause deadlifts, a pause squat, or a 2 count pause, 3 count pause bench press, in the program year round, maybe not so much, and depending on their needs, how technically proficient that they do get by the time that they're more close out to closer to a peak, or like a meet or something like that. I like keeping them in just all the time, because I find that if you have that on like a secondary day, so you're doing like higher ball and lean pause squats or something like that, or maybe on your primary day you do some more lighter back down work on like your pause squats or pause deadlifts after doing more of that heavier work with like the actual lift. It can just really help you just reinforce patterns. It can also help like manage fatigue a little bit better. If you way to periodize things, so maybe when you block one, you're just doing purely 2 count pauses on bench press, pause squats, pause deadlifts, and then maybe on that second block you start adding in slowly back in more of the competition lift. You're doing like maybe 2 sets of comp squats and then 3 sets of paused squats, and then maybe in that last block maybe you're doing 4 sets of comp squats and maybe only 1 set or no sets of pause squats. And what that kind of can do is that will set a really good base of technique. It can also help manage like fatigue, and it also can increase our like absolute intensity and get more of a peaking effect over time that we kind of want with you getting more practice with heavy weights. And also I found that they can also help improve bracing in the bottom of and knowing how to brace, breathe into that belly, create that tightness, that stability, that tension throughout the lift. So that's a huge part of making lifts. Also, like, you can also like prevent, like, this is self-limiting. Lots of times I found that lots of knee issues, hip issues, elbow issues, pec issues can be due to lifters not controlling things, relying too much on that stress reflex. There are going to be like higher compressive forces on the knees, on the pecs, on the elbows. It can be mostly going to be like on like the elbows or the knees, because it's basically you're going to have these. It's a bi-articular joint. Just it connects your humerus to your radius and an ulna, and then your femur to your tibia and fibula. It can really just help you with just being able to control that loading, and there's lots of benefits to it. And essentially, if you're having issues with technique or with bracing, I would recommend that just try doing pauses. Try, and for squats, pause in the hole deep. Hold that brace. Take out as much weight off the bar. You're probably going to need to take about 10% off for pause deadlifts and pause squats. For pause bench press, depending on the length of the pause and for how many more reps that you're doing, anywhere between 5 to 10%. And it's just really just milk that, get that training effect. It's just going to be better for your long-term technical prowess and efficiency, and teaching you how to do things properly. So those are my favorite accessories slash supplemental lifts, and why you should be pausing your squats, bench presses, and deadlifts for longer. So hopefully you guys like this video. If you guys have any questions, please ask them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And then if you guys are interested in coaching programs, AdamPeelerFitness.com. Follow me on Instagram, AdamDPeeler. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.